wouldn't you know, we're back again.
Yes, Alex.
We're not going anywhere.
No.
We're obnoxious. We're like a gadfly, as that Socrates used to call him. Can't get rid of us. Just a nuisance.
We're that egoic self.
Yeah, we're that news in the heat of the summer day. We're that person that comes up and they're not sweating in their white shirt and they're just like glistening,
just so nice and happy. And you're like, why are you so nice? You mean
I'm
like
over
I
here
am.
pulling weeds out of the ground.
Yes.
My life is a struggle.
Suffering, mayhem, and destruction.
Oh man.
Speaking of the future.
Oh, I think you're gonna say mayhem and destruction.
Speaking of the future, Alex.
Yeah.
Whenever we look at TARTLE and we look at those that partner with us, those that assist and help us in this ever-changing environment that's going on with this industrial 4.0.
Ooh, big word.
Yeah, this change that's happening, and we're seeing this. I mean, this is a prime example. This GameStop, Dogecoin, all the things that are happening. Bitcoin. We see hedge fund managers grabbing onto cryptocurrency now to get returns going back. We see them taking short positions, and then there's just so much going on.
Yeah,
that's like we saw protesting, viruses, pandemics. I mean, when you look at 2020 and what's happening in 2021, it's just a crazy year and a half.
It's a mess. When I look at us sometimes, I think say there's like a big company, a really sizable one, and they have some internal issues.
IBM.
Yeah, they got some internal issues going on.
Right.
They have to call in an outside change management team.
Yes, consulting firm, yeah.
Right? So I want these people leading these mega firms. And when I think of everything all together, TARTLE's like the change management team for the globe.
Yes.
Okay? If the globe was one big old super business, we're coming in as the change management team for the better, for the positive. Not to get people fired, but to bring them together. All right?
To unify, yes.
So I want this episode to be directed towards the visionaries of this super business that we have here, this global world economy. And we've outlined 7 things here. This has nothing to do with an article. We just came to this on our own senses, and we want to touch on these individually. So tee me up.
Yeah, the one is that when we look at other visionaries that are out there, especially other visionaries that have done it, been there, maybe they have the T-shirt already, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
They're successful in what we view as, what we collectively we view as success. Whether they're a hedge fund manager, we were talking about that earlier, or whether they're a diplomat, a politician, a statesman, whatever it may be.
World Economic Forum, anything
like that.
Right? Those visionaries, calling them out, and I'm not saying calling them out in a bad way, but I'm saying calling them out to team up with TARTLE. What does that look like, Alex? Yeah, what does teaming up with that look like? We are here with this tool that's been created to help meet you where you are at. Help understand what huge macro problems need to be solved for this larger, greater benefit. Because you, as these visionaries, these thinkers, especially these big thinkers in business who interact much with each other through the World Economic Forum, you guys need something to help elevate these catalysts that you're talking about. And when you talk about this transition, these visionaries they're seeing into the future. Mm-hmm. What's next? And that what's next for them is Industry 4.0. But when you have that view of that lens in the world, there are some obvious things that are happening. And one of those key things is what?
It's our dependence on data.
Yeah. We are fully dependent on data. All of these businesses are only becoming more dependent on it. All of our systems that are interlinked are solely dependent on data. When we send a space shuttle up into space, it is 100% dependent on data. Weather data, telemetries, all that stuff. Upper atmosphere data, you name it. And so when we look at that, whether it's I'm launching a space shuttle because I work at SpaceX, right? Or I'm trying to produce a new widget that's going to help with, countering corruption or something that has to do with biotechnology. Data is going to be the driver for that. Because if we can assimilate more knowledge and help normalize that curve and figure out where the truth actually sits for us, we're going to be a lot more decisive with our decision making. more poignant. We're going to be more accurate with what we do, because we'll know then in the greater macro sense that my sound decision making off of data is going to help me and all my stakeholders and all my shareholders, because it's no longer just about one.
And these visionaries that are out there at TARTLE, we want to help you realize the importance of data and the dependence of data, and help you understand, as a Sherpa would, help you understand why data is the center of this new revolution that we're happening.
Yeah. And so if we think of this revolution of Industry 4.0, think about that as the top of Everest. You have the vision of being there with your large company or your consulting firm or whatever.
You also have the means.
You have the means to get there too. But now you have to execute on it. And you want to do it in the most, risk savvy sense.
Yes.
Okay. The most economically efficient sense, in a sense that actually steps beyond finance and starts to help the larger global civilization of all of us. So now we're here to help execute on that by helping deliver that data to you to get to that new Industry 4.0, that new revolution. And if you look at all of those separate points that are happening in industry, they're going to be driven by one thing. But some of the key traits of Industry 4.0 are what? Decentralization.
Right. Yeah. And when you look at these global macro trends, this ability not just to have decentralization, but to look at, and I think this is a question that all of these visionaries ask, is, can humans be self-responsible?
And that's a big thing, okay? Because we're not responsible, and we created the sort of mess that we're in. And so these visionaries are then asking these people with resources, can we be responsible and champion these resources together to now take the reins back and say, we're here to fix this. We have the technology. We have this new revolution. We know where our problems sit. Can we act upon it? Can we actually execute? Can we get to the top of Everest? Can we actually see this Industry 4.0 revolution all the way through before this earth burns up? That's an important thing.
But I think for these visionaries, that responsibility lies on them too, to be that Sherpa.
Yeah.
To guide, because we've seen irresponsibility, and we can see that throughout the globe, but we also see groups of people being extremely responsible. And making decisions, like this younger generation. You can see these millennials that are saying, hey, we have global issues that are pertinent, and my children and my grandchildren are not going to have the globe that we perceive it to be. And just, we look at it and think, oh, everything's fine.
No, yeah, you're absolutely correct.
It's going to be dramatically different. Yeah. So these visionaries, their great-grandchildren are going to have to deal with some pretty horrific consequences.
And we want these visionaries to leave a legacy of positive execution and change.
Yes.
For them to be written into the history books, and for the people that come after them, right? We have the responsibility through creating this tool to help facilitate good decision-making to these people, to help that revolution see its way through. And then you as the resource holder, you as this visionary, you are then responsible to actually execute upon it. We're here to help deliver that information to you so you can make the right choice. But now it's time for you to be self-responsible as you are asking others to be self-responsible at the same time.
Which leads us into our next point. I want you to get into this, Alex, this systematic, holistic thinking.
Yeah. When we look at investing in things like new technologies or new businesses, it's not just about investing money into it and time, and then that's it. That's all we have to think about. There's so many people in this world that are interlinked into these systems. You're not only investing in the business and its vision, but you're investing in the teams, and you're investing in the people that interact with this business and the businesses that interact with it. So when you look at it, you have to have this fully holistic sense of what's going on, because the interaction, the interwoven web of the new, Industry 4.0, this new economy, cannot be unchained from one another.
Right.
It's so interlinked. It's so interwoven. It's so dynamic that binary view we've had in the past will not work for this future. It will not work for Industry 4.0.
No, not industry-specific view, like one industry does not affect the other one.
No, they all affect one another.
Silos. Now, especially when you have data bridging those, and then you have companies that are maybe an oil and gas company, but in reality, they're a technology company that's producing shitloads of data.
Yeah. They produce data first, oil and gas second.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
It's what
and
it
so
is.
that becomes, now you basically have, if you want to use it for, you have 3 companies. You have a data company, a technology company, and then an oil and gas company.
Yeah. But again,
how do you holistically approach that?
How do you listen? Who are the people interacting with it? And then you need to invest in how those individuals and entities interact with that business. You can put all the money you want into a business.
Right.
But the thing that supports it are the people underneath it. So now you got to think about meeting those people where they are, investing into their mindsets, how they execute and do things. And there's only one way to know that, and that's with data. And so when you look at Industry 4.0, that this cog with all of these different sectors that are going to explode, there's one key driver for all of these things in this decentralized world of self-responsibility that comes to a brighter macro future for all of us. And what is that?
It's data.
It's data. It's the microcosm of data.
Yes.
It's the people and the entities that are generating it. The only way to effectively execute on this future, to make it to the top of Everest, is with the right data. You don't want to go across when a thermal's coming and then you're going to get caught in a huge snowstorm in like 100-mile-an-hour winds, especially not when you're 28,000 feet up in the air in the death zone. So if you are a company that is a visionary on the bleeding edge and you're taking those risks, make sure you have all that data so you can mitigate it as much as possible.
All that clean data.
All that clean data. Remove all the unknowns.
Right.
And that clean data comes from the interactions of the people that really support your system. And those are human beings. Those are other entities. And that now you have the ability to access that. You can execute on that vision. And everything that's spoken about at Davos or the World Economic Forum or on these websites or any white paper you read, understand that you now have the ability systemically to act upon it for the better. And it's a very seamless, easy way for you to do so. And we are here to help, to be that Sherpa for you, to make sure that you are the champion in doing so. And we will meet you where you are. And we will help you meet those people where they are also.
And what makes a Sherpa a Sherpa?
What makes a Sherpa a Sherpa? The Sherpa is not the champion.
Right.
The Sherpa is only there to help you in your own journey. The Sherpas climb the mountain hundreds of times. But it's for you to bring that torch up to the top, to bear that flag, whatever that might be, GE, IBM, whatever. If you want to stick your flag at the top of the mountain, you want to go with someone who's done it before many, many times and who really understands the nature of that mountain, the thought process required. When you thought you emotionally were checked into it and you're there, when you get to the first part of base camp and you're staring up at that mountain, that wall of snow and granite, things change. When you really thought you had it in the bag.
But no, Alex, I don't need a Sherpa because I've got an amazing hunch.
Well, guess what?
And my accuracy's pretty freaking good.
Pretty freaking good. Well, let me tell you about that hunch. 1 in every 4 people that go up Everest die.
Yes.
So you sure you want to operate on a hunch knowing that there's a 25% chance that you're going to bite it and freeze up there and no one's going to be able to bring you back down? Nothing to speak for the visionary if they can't come back to talk about it, right?
Yes.
So we want you to come back and talk about it. Do not act anymore on a hunch. Execute on these visions effectively, intelligently, logically, and rationally. And do it not just for the company in a binary sense, but the decentralized systemic sense of everybody that is interlinked in this global system that we're a part of.
All of this is driven by data.
Correct. And at the very end, it is the data.